Hello, this is Carlos Gonzalez with my federal government presentation. And I chose to do my presentation on political issue number 7, which is immigration reform and or border security even necessary? If so, what are the competing ideologies on this matter? And to begin, I'd like to say that I fully support the establishment of an effective border security, and I think that the US needs an immigration reform. And I'd also like to add that I am the son of an immigrant, specifically from Mexico, just south of the US, and I have my back and forths with this issue, and this is something I'm always thinking about, especially with this current administration and the previous one. So I'd like to start off by saying that a country's good customs and culture are best preserved by being able to be aware of who's coming in and deciding whether or not they can come in or stay. And I've noticed that and done research on the fact that some of the most successful and stable countries in this world, such as China, Germany, Saudi Arabia, Japan, including the US, have some of the strictest immigration laws. And maybe not in the past term, but in this current term, we have stricter laws, and during other presidencies, there have been strict laws. And another big issue is that many people from other countries quickly notice when we, the US or other European countries, they quickly notice that when immigration laws begin to loosen, and so they quickly begin to flock over in larger numbers because they don't like their own country, they don't like the current state of their own country, and it can be detrimental at times to previously mentioned our culture and good customs, and it can also be dangerous to our people because as the previous Biden administration allowed many people to just show up at the border and enter a country and stay, there have been many people that have suffered from it. And some of these people that have come in have been gang members. Some of the more popular known gangs are the MS-13, the Salvadoran gang, and the Venezuelan gang Tren de Agua. And not all of these immigrants are these gang members or violent people, but they have a different culture, and they, more specifically Venezuela, is a total mess right now, to be quite honest. And there have been a lot of not a whole lot statistically speaking, but there have been violent murders and violent outbreaks from these people, such as Laken Riley, who was killed on a run, prompting Trump to enact the Laken Riley Act, which allows ICE or just our government to deport or take stronger action against any immigrant who commits even a minor crime. And another issue that sprung up from the all the people that came over during the Biden administration was that um, some of these people had to be deported because they were committing crimes, but more specifically, the president of Venezuela has chosen to not accept the people that the people that we want to deport back over there, and it puts us in a weird position to where we have to deal with these people, and it's it's really detrimental to know to our population that these people were let in not knowing who they are, and that we have to for, deal with their those bad people that come over. And I have a personal statement that I like to include there and use as a reference, that I've talked to some people from Venezuela, and they have an entirely different culture over there, and they're they can come over here and they can be really out of touch, as in, this might be a little graphic, but over there they don't really have the concept of an age of consent as we do here in the US. And that can be a big problem because as some of the people from Venezuela that have told me have mentioned that over there in their home country, a grown man, a man who's middle aged or old, can approach a really young woman, a really young teenage girl, and ask for sex or initiate sexual contact, and over there it's really no big problem, and those people might not understand that when they get here, and so they might begin to engage with people who are below age of consent, and that's just not a good thing, obviously. And another big issue that's not necessarily new, but it has become bigger and bigger in recent years, is that as much as God is mentioned in our money, and the US is primarily a predominantly Christian nation, and I'd like to consider the US as a Christian nation, it is simply not. We're a non theocratic nation. And quite frankly, I have no big issue with that. I understand why. It enables the freedom of religion, and it has worked out so far for us. But in recent years, many Muslims have made their way to the U.S. and they've tried to implement the Sharia law into our politics, and there's just simply no place for